Why is 1 plus 1 equals 2? So before I begin, a brief background about myself. So I'll be approaching this as from a layperson's perspective, like a layperson would, like an average YouTuber or a average reader and viewer. It doesn't matter. See, there was this once mathematician actually, named by David Hilbert, and he said, unless you can explain a theory to a child, then your theory is not complete. Well, that wasn't the exact quote, but I'm sure you can find it. Yeah, so how's that for factual evidence? And anyway, so before I begin, I don't have any math degree, I don't have any philosophy degree. I was born in Bangladesh, went to an English medium school. The first one was called Assembly of God Church School, AG Church. It was a Christian school, English medium school. Well, it was a Christian school, and it was in Bangladesh, which is a Muslim majority country, but that was like right next door. And since it was the only English medium school, we thought, I wanted to get my foot in. So then I went to Scholastica, which is another English medium school. So, and even though it was in Bangladesh, we learned some weird shit like Erasmus, and then all the books were Indian curriculum, but it was British syllabus. So there was things like Rodri Jones. I was reading about what was the guy's name? Ray Bradbury, his story, the Charles Dickens, what is that called? Oh God, the Christmas Carol. Is that it? I think so. And then like Confucius, Mohenjo-daro, and that's history. And in science, just your average science, prism and like water distillation, all those things. But point being, I didn't get a traditional like a Bangla medium school, but it was English medium school. And so obviously we learned algebra there, and there was even a abridged Shakespeare readings, like I don't know, 30 pages, like skinny Shakespeare abridged for kids. That was like 6th grade. Then I moved to South Africa, and again it was the pressure was against immense. At Pretoria Boys High School, I think Elon Musk went to the same high school. Not I think he did. I think yeah, because I don't have it Google. I'm here in my car. This is my studio, so I can't. So you have to take my whatever I say at a face value and with a grain of salt. Then from South Africa, midway in '98 came to California and at Garden Grove High School. So there again, the math was becoming intense. I took pre-cal, and then I skipped trig. Some girl, she was actually a Romanian girl. I still blame her for that, and jokingly, of course. Her name was, I think, what was her name? Oh God, I once bumped into her Barnes and Noble with her husband at, I think, years later, and I said I'll never forgive you for this. So I skipped trig, then went to Cal, and then probably even tried to. No, I don't think it was AP in high school. Yeah, I don't think it was an AP in college. But at any rate, so I took the traditional school, schooling. You learned about L'Hopital's rule, integration, and fundamental theorem of calculus. And then I dropped out. It was early 2000. I dropped out, and I was majoring in computer science. Took a little bit of Java, a little bit of C++. Also took in high school, took C++. And then after 10 years, I thought, you know what, might as well give the school thing a chance again, just for fun, just for kicks. And that was the agreement with my parents, that I'll just do it for fun, just see what happens. And then again, I took heavy machinery courses like epistemology, symbolic logic. And I dropped out. And every class, 90% of the class I dropped out. Political science, robotics, digital logic, theater. No, theaters I didn't drop out. Like Shakespeare, epistemology. And the high scores, math class I took was, even I took physics in college, and I dropped out after 2 weeks. I took so many classes and dropped out. In retrospect, that's a good education. Yeah, basically, because you're not paying for it if it's a withdrawal or withdrawal, a W. And Yeah, I even took archaeology like for 2 weeks. Eastern arts. In the Eastern arts, I think the whole. I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, Eastern arts. I think was again for 2 weeks, because I think 2 weeks maximum you get free education. Yeah, the point being, the highest heavy machinery course was linear algebra again. I dropped out. Probably took that attempted the course twice or thrice, and I again dropped out. So the point being, again, I'm not trying to impress, and you can't even impress if you're getting C and F and you're dropping out. So I can't. It's not. The point is not impress. The point is setting a foundation, and where my skepticism comes. So obviously, it goes without saying, those classes were absolute joke. The professors were cool, but the classes were absolute joke. So I took comparative philosophy, comparative religion, all these classes. Yeah, the reason why it was joke is because if he has the basic question, why is 1 + 1 = 2? Either, and even online, people act it's accepted. Like, I mean, I'm sure math is the religion, is the untouchable, it's like the icon. You like, don't be iconoclastic. Like, there's this hallowed thing that shouldn't be touched or questioned. But the whole spirit of mathematics and science is that you get to question the most fundamental basic axiom, and that's exactly what mathematics is. And I might sound extremely vociferous, opinionated, but that's exactly what mathematics is. In my opinion, it's man-made, it's hollow. Yeah, there are patterns out there, but when you extrapolate, you're doing it in your own way. So, but before you dive deep, again, and on my own, I studied a lot. I went to UCI library. I wanted to find out what is the glue ultimate. Like, when you ask why is 1 + 1 = 2, why is it or equals, if A causes B and B causes C, why is it A causes C? Or why, when you say why A implies B, what do you mean by imply? So on Wikipedia, I think I looked at every mathematics and philosophy pages. I was briefly active on Philosophy Stack Exchange. Mathematics Stack Exchange was toxic. Math over was toxic. And then again, I have my own issues too, so I can't stand criticism, and I'm thin-skinned. But the point being, and if you go online, if you why is 1 + 1 = 2, they take it like gospel, especially the right wingers, the conservative ones, because they want a foundation. And if you can introduce this idea that no, it's not. It says the colorless green sleeps furiously. It's as meaningless as that. It's hard to, because okay, so, and I read so UCI library, Ayala Science Library, UCI the Grunlingen Library or whatever. But point being, I studied on my own, and my basic thing, because as Hilbert said, the mathematician, if you can explain to a baby, then your theory is fucked up. So I mean, because take Lego for example, a baby can even build a skyscraper from small building blocks. Every one of us is endowed with logic. The reason why you cannot, if you see some inscrutable college textbook on math, and there are tons and millions of them in the libraries and UCI, well, tens of thousands, and the reason you cannot, if you cannot decipher, it doesn't mean you're stupid or you're not smart. It just means it's like, if a Chinese guy cannot decipher Greek, you don't call a Chinese person stupid, and vice versa. So you shouldn't be swayed by all these. And again, I'm a lay person. I have no expertise. I don't have degrees or anything. So for all those, for the existential qualifier sign, the universal qualifier signs, if you see a page full of plays and you say, oh, I can understand it, so it must be so. Like Joe Rogan, that idiot, he's like, oh, if you want to feel stupid, just go through a physics book. Why? It's like as stupid as saying go through a Swedish dictionary if you want to feel stupid. So, it's not established. Bertrand Russell and Alfred North Whitehead spent probably hundreds and hundreds of pages in Principia Mathematica just trying to prove 1 + 1 = 2, and they threw the whole shit out. Most of the mathematicians struggle with it, what we take as obvious. And that's the thing. Even if you search it on Twitter, they'll think you're stupid, or like even online, YouTube. But what they don't realize is mathematicians down to even Turing and like charge. I don't know much about Alonzo charge, but I know about a little bit of charge Turing thesis, Gödel, and all this. Like Frege, like mathematician, like. And the irony is, if you can't even answer the simple question, why is 1 plus 1 equals 2? They're building all these cathedrals, these mountains and mountains of papers of research work when the foundation itself is flaky. And that's what bothers me. And that's exactly the Achilles heel of current education, academia, college, and everything. It's like, even my linear algebra professor, Art, I'm not going to let his last name known. Again, I'm not shaming him or anything, but even he said, you break down mathematics, ultimately what you get down to is quantum foam, and you break that down, and finally you get to a point where you find out that literally is made out of nothing. And it is. It is. So going back to the baby thing, if a baby were to ask, okay, why does this happen? Why is sky blue? Oh, well, the light comes, refracts, blah, 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 in a certain angle, and you perceive it in your brain, goes to your retina, and you blah, blah, there's chiasmus or whatever. And you give a cause and effect causal relationship and answer. Why is 1 plus 1 equals 2? Well, first of all, if I were a skeptic, and that's the problem with all this Michael Sharma, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all these so-called skeptics, is they're not skeptical of their own skepticism. The real Pyrrhonus, Sextus Empiricus, going back to like fucking ancient Greece and everything, or like ancient Rome, Sextus Empiricus, yeah, Zeno of Ilia, is it what, Ilia? Yeah, because there's also Parmenides, no, sorry, Zeno of some, anyways, yeah, the point being, it's basic question. When a baby asks, where does this come from? Where does this come from? And that, and you say, shut up in your vegetables, because that's exactly, it's still a glaring problem in modern mathematics and philosophy. Why is 1 plus 1 equals 2? Why is, if A causes B, B causes C, A causes C? Because these are ultimately symbols that denotes concepts. Instead of this grand concept, you just use a symbol. When you say plus, it's a symbol for a concept. It's not logic. It's not cut and dried. It's not for a fact. When you say 1 plus 1 equals 2, what do you exactly mean by that? And there is exactly lies the glaring problem. Because suppose you say, oh, okay, that's easy. 1 plus, if you take one tree, but what do you mean by one tree? And what if they're connected underneath the ground with their roots? What if the two trees are one tree? So what do you exactly mean by one tree? What is one? What is oneness? Well, you say, if I say 5 fingers, what do you mean by 5 fingers? What is entity? What is uniqueness? And philosophers have debated, wrote litany of lectures, essays on this. I mean, not exactly this topic, but they wrestle with the idea what is the foundation. Just if a baby can figure out from ideas how to connect the dots and create a cathedral, why aren't humans able to do it? Well, if you study Euclid, but then a lot of things are not self-evident, like law of identity, idempotency, law of association. These are man-made. These are not self-evident. You did a little maneuver and you're twisting around with this Rubik's Cube and whatever, and you extrapolate this idea. Rubik's Cube is not out there doing this freaking law of idempotency, rotating itself. You are projecting your man-made mathematical systematic structure onto reality, and you're deciphering it, interpreting it as, oh look, there is the structure, there is logic. And that's exactly the problem with the logic, Western logic, the foundation of Western logic. It's fucking, and that's what the Zen masters figured out. Or like Mahavira, or not Mahavira, sorry, Mahayana Buddhists, or like, I don't know, the Tetralemma, Nagarjuna, all the all those, all multivariate logic, because you realize that you cannot just say reality is not Euclidean geometry. It's not a Lego piece that you connect one piece to another and by step you create. It's boom. It's like Big Bang. It happened all at once. It didn't happen sequentially, and that's the main problem. That's the main problem. You cannot say there is no causal like chain of, you see all this graph theory and all this fucking category theory, bare category theorem and whatever, and you see all this That's not how reality works. That's your two-dimensional flat projection onto reality, and it's bound to fail. And this is why questions like Riemann hypothesis are meaningless. What do you mean by a number? What do you mean by addition? What do you mean by operator? What do you mean by question? What do you mean by questioner? What do you mean by existing unifier? What do you mean by universally identifier or like qualifier? And you see, what you're doing is you're using one concept to define another concept, and somehow, like forcing a square peg in a round hole, you're trying to come up with a, like, okay, this is what it is. It's like a plate spinner. You spin that, and then that falls, and you go that, or like a boat that gets riddled with like some. What's that guy? Elmer Fudd. And you're trying to do that and that, but then again, another water blows out from another blowhole, and you try to patch that up, and there's another problem. And that's exactly how mathematics is. And academics and mathematicians go on pretending as they, oh, everything is fine and dandy, but it's not. So when you say, again, 1 plus 1 equals, okay, one bird equals 2. Then you say, or like one sheep equals 2, because back in the days, our forefathers, ancestors, they were tallying, so they started doing, actually they had oceanic consciousness, so that's why, and so actually back in the days, everyone was in a trance-like state, and it became discrete more and more, because science and religion and maths and everything was all one, natural sciences, and even back before Bacon and everything, so, yeah. So when you say, okay, and a sheep, or you say, okay, there are 2 sheep, but what if one is a ewe, or like one is a she, or I don't know, like varieties of sheep, or like one is a ram. How do you know which one is slightly? You can say that the 1 plus 1 equals 2, and even if you can say, okay, here's a form. It has 4 legs. It has a body, it has a head, it has 2 eyes, and it has a certain form. And that form can be isomorphically mapped into another form. Okay, now we're getting there, but at the same time, what do you mean by plus? What do you mean by 1? Can 2 sheep be 1? It's a meaningless question. But if you would take a painting or a sculpture or clay sculpture, and you put 2 sheep on a clay tablet, and you put a sculpture like a clay figurine, well, the whole shit is one thing. The whole shit is one thing. It's your man-made projection that's making it discrete, that's making it that's doing this calculi, the splitting things up, as Alan Watts would say, into bits and in these prickly things. But in reality, or then you might say, okay, but there's spaces. There are millions of microorganisms, bacteria in spaces. They're like, just because, or like, what if 2 magnets, or like, what if, yeah, train, bullet train. There is space, but you don't say the bullet train, like, okay, that's probably a good example. The point being, sometimes 2 things can be attached by a vacuum or something, and so, okay, if you're saying that it's a space, then I'll say, what do you mean by space? Well, emptiness. Then what do you mean by emptiness? Or if you break down, if you zoom in into this emptiness, what do you get? So this is completely arbitrary. Yeah, but again, questioning this, the bridge is not going to fall off from the sky, the sky's not going to fall off itself, but there is something flawed with the foundation of the modern mathematics, because what happens if 1 plus 1, it becomes 2, so it becomes 1. 1 droplet of water pours down and joins another 1 droplet of water, it becomes 2 droplet, it becomes another giant droplet of water. Or you go to if you take the mathematics of Jesus, if he could multiply fishes, then out of 1 fish you get 100, so 1 equals 100. Or if you go to some other planet where the laws of physics didn't apply, who knows, maybe some distant galaxy laws of physics didn't apply, and your hand goes through a wall, or like, I don't know, but and then if you get 1 apple, and you get 1 apple, and if you combine them, it blends through, and it becomes 1 apple. So people say, but math, and again, How do you know another dimension where it doesn't exist, where mathematical rules and laws don't, the current mathematics of this world doesn't apply? How do you know? You cannot extrapolate this. You cannot use a law of induction to say, oh, if this is true, this must be true everywhere regardless. How do you know? Neil deGrasse Tyson, they say, oh, the thing of gravity, it doesn't care about your feelings or whatever, and it's true regardless of the universe. How do you know? Oh, and even if it's true for universe, how do you know it's true for another dimension? By ipso facto, the law is bound to break down in another dimension, probably, because that's why it's another dimension. Just like two-dimensional theories don't necessarily apply in third dimension. Like in Stephen Hawking, in his book Brief History of Time, was talking about if animals, you can draw two-dimensional animals because from the gullet and the esophagus to the intestines to the anus, you have to draw a pipe, and that's why you're separating your two things, and it cannot. Like the two-dimensional concept how works in 3-dimension, but in 2-dimension is separated. So anyway, so what do you mean by space and like unity? So you say, oh, this is very easy, one car and the two car. But then, if you take the algebra, if the cars are not the same, you cannot say they're the same. But you say, oh, this is the same car. Then I'll say, what do you mean by car? Well, it has 4 wheels. Well, many carriages have 4 wheels. So you see where we're getting at. And people are saying, oh, fine and dandy, like, well, la-di-da, everything is fine. But it's not. It's not. If a baby asks a simple question, why is 1 + 1 = 2? The baby is not stupid. You're stupid for thinking that he's stupid for asking this simple question. Just like a lawyer, if you break down, what do you ultimately get? What is the atom? Like, and people act as if these are well established. Oh, and there must be people with PhDs, double PhDs, this stalwart who's doing habilitation shift or whatever. Like, and they must this pedigree, they have so much pedigree. Oh, you're untouchable, Nobel Prize. Doesn't matter. We all have common sense. And what one monkey can do, another monkey can do. If someone can understand some concept, it's transparent. So perfect information, a game theoretic, like fucking open, it's right there, out there open. I can figure it out. I mean, you don't need a genius to solve Rubik's Cube. I can just solve Rubik's Cube under 5 minutes. It's memory. It's just basically you have to know the algorithm, memorize the algorithm, and that's it. But obviously there are kids who are prodigies who can do it under, 5 seconds or 3, what's the regular, 3 seconds. So the point being, yeah, anyone can understand it. And Newton even himself said, if I struggle with something, I read, but again, if there's content shit in the first place, you can read 1,000 times, it won't make any difference. So what I'm getting at is, yeah. So people think, I was in was it a physics class? Yeah, for 2 weeks, and the professor was saying, this might look like there's no. I can assure you, there's a lot of math behind it, as if like a lot of mathematics worked. Like what? You take a simple sentence like what, and if you break it down, what is the grammar? What is the glue, ultimate atomic glue that holds mathematics together? Causation. Is mathematics logic? Logic is all about causation. A causes B, B causes C, C causes D. Therefore, you have this chain of reasoning. But is there, what do you mean by causes? What is cause? David Hume, ponder at length about it. If a billiard ball hits another billiard ball B, A hits B, how can you say A causes B? And this is too, you might look preposterous. But that exactly is the beauty of philosophy. It's like, it precisely deals with preposterous things like this. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. How do you know A causes B? It could be like, the way I think about it, you turn on flick a light switch, light turns on. Maybe every time, that's an Occam's razor, but why you have to accept Occam's razor? You flick a switch, maybe this electricity goes to some dragon's mouth, and there he digests it, and then he shits it out, like this fart of orb of glow of light, and from that light, you generate enough electricity, and that somehow connects to some, I don't know, some overly convoluted chain of reasoning, and you get light on every time that happens. How do you know? How do you know? The whole spirit of science and mathematics is, you have to know it for a fact, like the shadow of doubt, beyond shadow of doubt. Just like people know God from personal experience. But you can't, and that's the thing. Mathematics is not, it's not a fact. It's not rock solid. It's not grounded in rock solid, this idealized. And Gödel, a lot of people figured it out. They couldn't know it's fishy because That's why you have so much paradoxes and contradictions and catch-22s and a vicious circle and infinite regress and whatnot. Because when you say this sentence is false, is it true or false? Because you can never find out. It's unknown. But then you say, yeah, the beauty of mathematics is it can... At this point, you're just freestyling, bro. Like when mathematics starts with the field, or like they start with ZFC or like axiom, there's the Freiling axiom or axiom of symmetry, all these axioms. They're not axioms. They're not self-evident. They want to make, mathematics would want to like them to be self-evident, but they're not. Even A implies A. That itself is not self-evident. A equals A. Why it is self-evident? But if you agree to that, then that's basically vicious circle. Vicious circle is tautology. That's exactly what it is. When you say A, like idempotent law or whatever, basically whole mathematics and logic can be reduced to tautology. I don't know, I'm getting worked up about it. So you see, it's not as rock solid, a foundation, like grounded in reality as the people make it seem to be. Because, what's it called? What is the definition of definition? You have to look at the vicious circle. So, when you say, okay, what is 1 plus 1? Okay, so you say, okay, there is a concept of unity, and this one concept of unity, and then this another nagging problem was plus and also equals. What do you mean by plus? Is it because you're putting side by side? How close to it you're putting side by side? When you say adding, what do you mean? When you mean collecting, or what do you mean by collecting? So that when you grill it like a lawyer or like investigator, or even a seasoned philosopher, logician worth his salt, who doesn't take everything at face value and questions everything. If you become that guy, you frankly realize that you're using one concept to explain another concept, and explains all concepts is bound to fail. The whole system is bound to collapse, or the system cannot know outside itself. And so that's also the spirit behind Gödel's incompleteness, or Turing's undecidability, or even Schrodinger's Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, or all those unknown uncertainty principle in other fields or things, because there'll always be a blind spot. There'll always be a blind side. And the foundation itself is a blind spot in mathematics. When you question why is 1 plus 1 equals 2, or even why, what do you mean by why? So that means that you're looking for some causality, a relationship. So it's not gospel, it's not written in stone, it's not fucking, but people act it to be, especially this Trados movement, that people think like you're questioning their basic, like if math, that's the hallowed. And it's funny, these people are Christian conservative, this jacked up body, Roman, they worship these Roman Stoics and whatever, Marcus Aurelius, and they have this profile of, now you know where it's coming from. Yeah, because I do get into argument on it, and it just blows my mind away how people are so brainwashed to drink this Kool-Aid that they think it's always set in stone. And that's exactly why they're so afraid for this to fail, is because then the whole mathematics, or the whole, this zillions of papers of trees in the libraries and college all over the world, the whole thing is fucking meaningless. The whole thing will collapse. But then you say, Zishan, but how does work? How does science give us so many technology? How does it work? That's besides the point. I'm criticizing mathematics, I'm criticizing philosophy of mathematics, I'm criticizing logic, metalogic, foundation of logic, everything. But the whole point of the rant is, there is no clear definition of 1 plus 1 equals, why is 1 plus 1 equals, just like you cannot answer ever, what does God exist? What do you mean by God? What do you mean by God? Yeah, exactly. Or same as saying, does round square peg exist? But that itself is a ill-defined question. It's not a well-defined question. So when you say 1 plus 1 equals, but again, mathematicians will argue, but that's not what mathematics is all about. It's all about a hypothesis. It's about theories and theorem. If this happens, then this. Again, when you casually wave your hand and do this thing, then what do you mean by then? If you slap me, I get hurt. that's sort of a brusque, like a brash way of replying, but. Then I'll say, okay, what if I'm on PCP? I heard some people on PCP can feel anything. If you slap me, I don't get hurt. Or I get hurt or some Zen monks can control their feeling. There was this story this guy was, this monk was carrying this hot pitcher, and then there was this earthquake, and everyone was screaming, ah! And then the Zen monk came to his mat, tatami, put down the hot pitcher, and no, it wasn't a hot pitcher. The temperature of the pitcher is meaning the, and he put down the pitcher and said, ah! So he could control his emotions. So it was delayed. So when you say, so there is always this time delay, there's a space delay, there's a space-time delay, and there's also, what do you mean by connection, as humans say? What causes, like, what about invisible connections? So, like COVID, effects of COVID. There's no physical, there's no finger, like, going through COVID that connects something and say, oh, okay, this causes this. So you see, more you dig into, you zoom into a fractal, you get into another fractal, and you zoom in, and you see, these are vacuum. These are man-made. These are not written in stone. Just like religion isn't written in stone. Mathematics and logic, these are not written in stone. People, these are just like Hardy said, a mathematician just like a painter. He's a master maker pattern, and most people don't. Most lay people, they don't think that. They're thinking logic, mathematics, science. These are like rock solid. They're set on foundation. But what is the ultimate foundation? What is the ultimate foundation? Maybe consciousness is, information is, number, who knows? But because, on a superficial daily level, Newtonian universe, you can say one butterfly, there's one butterfly, two butterfly, blah, blah, blah. But what if one is a moth and one is a butterfly? Do you say one butterfly, one moth, or you say, oh, two creatures? Okay, what is a creature? You see, I mean, there's the slippery slope. It's like, the moment you probe, define this. What do you mean by this? And when I took philosophy, the introduction to philosophy in college, I loved the professor. He was Mr. Holland, and I think I wrote a paper on bestiality. Like I think I was literally arguing what the why is bestiality morally immoral or something like that. Anyways, I forgot. But anyways, he was saying, if you the moment you're not certain about something, and no matter how smart that person is, just ask, define this. What do you mean by this? What exactly do you mean by this? And and no matter, you can be MacArthur Genius Nobel laureate, fucking Nobel Prize winner. Doesn't matter. If you can explain that, and if you get threatened by it, then obviously your theory is fucked up, and you yourself are an insecure person. Because you should be able to answer, just like a Lego piece, this causal connection, Lego, like architecture or Euclidean geometry, if you can, but then you say, but the reality is not like that. In quantum mechanics, like different, like what do you call a partial differential equation, blah, 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 it's not linear. I think now you're starting to appreciate what I'm trying to get at. Exactly, it's not linear. 1 + 1 is a very stoic, cut and dried attempt to boil down a 3-dimensional or probably 4-dimensional or probably high-dimensional world into a flat paper. Reality doesn't exist on a flat academic paper, on a PDF file. It exists outside, and the moment you're gonna try to collapse it into a 2-dimension, there's gonna be loss of information in the transfer. Excuse me. I think I'll stop now. I'm gonna take a break and reassess. So meanwhile, you ponder that. Why is, or even shape? I take one pencil, I take another pencil. How do you know? You say, oh, one of them + 1 equals 2. But what if the one is a pen? Or one is a fake pencil? Then you say, okay, they're two objects. But how? Okay, fine. What do you mean by object? See? Oh, they're separated. You can see that. Yeah, but I mean, what if I spray a cloud of red dye in the air, and you can see the one pencil there, and there is this sfumato of red dye, and there's another pencil. So basically, the red dye is connecting the two pencils. So do you say this whole one group blob thing? But you say, no, it's one form, this identical form. Well, what do you mean by identical? What do you mean by form? You see, the whole thing can be collapsed into tautology. Mathematics, logic, these are all tautology. They're circular, and it has to be. It has to be. It has to, unless you're God or you're outside this universe, the system, because we are in it. We are in this goddamn system, this universe, this reality. So we cannot, there always has, there's bound to be a blind spot. Just like we cannot look at the back of our head. Bound to be, ipso facto, bound to, by logic, there has to be a blind spot. And one of them is the foundation of mathematics. Or logic.